So, hello. Welcome. This is a new thing for us. We've not really done any kind of matches with any games and a commentary. But we thought we'd give it a whirl because, Netrunner is on its way out, but we want to do our little bit to keep the game alive, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And you can see that even though it was a casual game, we took our splitting of the deck very seriously just then.
Yeah. Yeah, there was some fun with the cutting. It was almost a mini game in its own right.
Yes.
So just tell us about your ID, Paul, and the kind of basic idea behind your deck.
Yep. Okay. So it's a HB Asa Group, and what Asa Group allows you to do is a bit of click compression. So the first time you install a card each turn, you can install a non-agenda card from HQ in or protecting that server. And the deck is entirely homebrewed jank, and the key cards essentially in it are Heinlein City Grid and Mason Bellamy. Mason Bellamy is an upgrade. Whenever you encounter a piece of ice protecting the server ends in which you broke at least one subroutine, the runner loses all clicks if able. And then Heinlein Grid says if the runner loses or spends a click during a run on the server, he or she loses all credits in his or her credit pool. So the idea is to force you to lose a click if you get through the ice, and then you lose all the money. And ideally, I'm protecting an Akawa project, which you have to spend a click to steal. So the idea is that I build a big server, stick those upgrades in them, show you those upgrades, and then you never ever run that server, and I score out 5-3s with impunity.
Yeah. Yep, I certainly remember this bit about it making you very poor. So I am playing with Ayla by Asa Rahim, who has one ability, really. She draws 6 cards off the top of her deck at the start of the game. You keep 4 set aside, and she has an ability of paying a click to take any one of those cards that you've already looked at into your hand. And the idea behind the deck, it's also homebrew jank. The idea behind the deck is to use all of the card draw economy cards like process automation and exclusive party to just draw all of the things you need, and then click to get other things that you might need. And you can see my opening hand. So I've got Comet, a couple of easy marks, an exclusive party, and something else.
Freedom from equality, or did you draw into that?
It might have been freedom through equality, yeah.
And the reason why I mentioned that is because my deck's gender density is quite low, and it's built to try to force you to have to steal at least 3 agendas, and by that time that you might get 2 agendas, but by the time that you're on the 3rd one, I've usually got a good scoring server, and because there aren't that many agendas in the deck, random accesses from HQ or R&D tend not to be that much of a problem for me.
Yeah.
But you score, not to anticipate the game a little bit, freedom from equality really helped you.
Yeah. So what's... Do you remember what's in that server?
NGO front. So what I've done is I got an NGO, I stuck it in there. I don't mind putting the NGO behind a bit of ice, because that's basically going to become my scoring server. And then I put a scarcity of resources down as much to try to hit the early game as possible. It may have been a bit of a mistake. And I iced R&D because I was scared of indexing coming from Shaper.
Yeah. Scarcity on round 1 is never a nice thing for the runner to see. It just makes getting set up that much slower.
That was the idea.
And there we go. So I played the Comet, and the whole point is, you get to make the most of those cheap events that essentially get you economy and draw your cards.
It's interesting because we're both playing kind of a little bit of click compression, though I think yours is perhaps more useful because you're seeing more event cards than I'm actually installing.
Yeah, well, there's a lot in there. It was quite. I'm interested in what I'm going to get there. I can't remember off the top of my head what I went and got.
Yeah, out of NVRAM.
Yes. Yeah, but I didn't. So I didn't play it that round. So.
Yeah, I'm taking money and just moneying up. And the reason why I kind of moneyed up there was because one of the disadvantages of the deck is that running a Glacier with a couple of upgrades and then a set of 5/3s, you tend to need to have a big money pool because I need to resolve the ice and those upgrades.
Yeah.
So I was trying to money up early so that I could just then drain down in the early game. So kind of taking the IPO, there's that trick of when you play the IPO, given that it's got to be at the end of the turn.
Yeah. So it looks like I just played a diesel into an easy mark and then played another exclusive party. So that's really all I'm doing is drawing cards and getting some money at the same time.
Yeah, we call that the easy diesel party.
The easy diesel.
Yeah.
Yep.
You hit HQ.
So Mason Bellamy.
Yeah, it's a clutch card for me, and it goes into the bin. I do run 3 of, so I was kind of okay. But then off we go. And then I think I spend most of this turn drawing up.
Yeah.
I'm not impressed. That's the face of somebody who's like, these aren't the cards I was looking for.
Yeah. So finally advancing the NGO then.
Yeah.
It was just sitting there for a couple of rounds.
Yeah, I could, but with an IPO, I think I decided to get the IPO out.
There's the freedom.
Yeah.
Mainly to get rid of scarcity.
Yeah. Yep, sensible. And I was happy to leave the NGO kind of like sat in the server on the basis that you were setting it up. You probably weren't going to run it if it wasn't advanced. And the other thing that I tend to do with NGOs is I install advance because that kind of you try to get the runner to go through the server to see what it is.
Yeah,
but it was too early in the game to try to drag you, and it's not really taxing at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems to recall Beth did quite a bit of work for you.
She did, yeah. She got me some clicks actually because you were so rich.
Yeah,
and that was the main reason I played Freedom. Really, was I was planning to run a little bit, but I wanted to get some resources down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm still drawing more than anything else. I mean, the deck is alright. It's a fun deck that I'm playing. It poses some interesting questions in terms of the sequence that you should play cards to get the best benefit from ASA. And there, I think that's all click 1, install.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of like building up the upgrade and building up the server. When I was reviewing this ahead of time, it's quite interesting how far in the game it is before I actually raise a piece of ice. you just weren't making the runs that I'd like you to make you poor to get the scoring window.
Yeah, I can't remember what you had over R&D, but
I can't recall either.
But HQ was wide open, and I'm not really running the Shaper tricks.
Yeah, I know that now.
Well, there's no space for them, I guess. So this is that was an upgrade or an asset?
I think it was an itchy, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's not itchy. But you do run R&D, as we see here.
Yeah.
I choose not to res. And the reason I think I choose not to res is because I know the agenda density. I don't want to commit resources to central servers when I'm trying to build my glacier, but you take an Ikawa.
Yeah, without paying.
Yet. So I then remember.
There we go. So click and 2 credits, which I can just about afford. I think I had to pay my last click to get it.
That's right, yeah. But you got essentially 4 points off one single access, which really messed me up. And the Ikawa needs to be in the server. That's the reason for it in the deck.
Right. Yeah, it's obviously a big swing. Still quite early in the game. And you draw an agenda?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, another Ikawa, I think, actually. Looking at that. So I take the NGO out because I need to free up the server. That is a proxy I'm playing. That's not a proxy, though. That is the actual card. And the reason why I did that then was because it freed up the server. The original cut of this deck actually ran the Adonis campaign.
Right.
But I found that it was just too hard to have an asset I would want to protect as well as a scoring server.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've decided that I really don't want to have HU quite so wide open.
Yeah, well, you're sitting on a pile of cash. I've kind of lost a lot of momentum now, although I'm benefiting from an extra click a turn. So it gives me a chance to get back up to speed.
Yeah, that's right. And I think I've installed an agenda into that server, and I'm going to slow roll it. And I think I should have played more aggressively here. I think I should have observed your card pool and kind of really kind of pressed it. The reason why I was a bit more circumspect was because you were already on 4 points, and I was wary of the SMC and wary of kind of other kind of accelerated economy. Only a couple of ice down. I don't think that they were the best. They weren't my preferred ice. The ice I had pulled. So right. I was possibly more cautious than I needed to be, I think.
Yeah. I seem to remember I was digging for economy at this point. I'd used both of my easy marks, and I think I'm looking for an Armitage code busting.
Oh, yeah. Yep, okay, so you get process automation. Not bad, is it? It's like, what, 1 click and a card, or 2 credits up on just spending a tick for those actions.
Yeah, it's a fairly innocuous card, but I think in a deck built around Comet, it comes into its own.
Yeah.
And here's the second SMC. Really, I'm just putting it down to get it out of my hand.
Okay.
And it causes some problems.
Yeah. We have a discussion about memory units, and entirely because I'd misunderstood what you were doing as well.
Yeah, there was a bit of a break in the game while we kind of scratched our heads and tried to work out how to play Netrunner again.
Yeah.
We're both a little bit rusty, but
I've just run an ice. There's a lot of draw. I do click to draw quite a bit, and I think I possibly need to think about that in the deck construction. Because and also in play, I should have probably been trying to put that ice onto the server and then gone a bit quicker on that server to try to kind of like cheat you through it. You may not have run.
What have you spent your influence on in this deck pool?
Now, that is a good question. I don't know that I spent masses of influence, actually. In fact, on some ice, I spent some influence on some ice. Wrap around out of MBN. And that is around about it, actually.
Yeah. So I'm just going nuts with exclusive parties and build scripts and whatnot.
Yeah.
Just getting back into the game really after taking such a tempo hit.
Yeah, which I didn't really maximise. I didn't take advantage of that. I could have easily scored that 5-3 out and had pretty much the same board state, I think.
Yeah, I guess you're putting the walls up really, aren't you? And that means that you don't benefit from your ability, your ID's
That's
ability.
Right. Yeah.
Sorry, if you score an agenda or if you advance something for your turn, you're not benefiting from your ID.
Yeah. But if I played quite a bit of ETF back in the day, and I would always try to install just to kind of get that ability to fire. And I think with Asa, I don't approach it in that way quite so much. In part because I think I'm a little bit worried about putting ice down in places that's suboptimal for that ice to be.
Yep.
And I think I should possibly be a little bit more aggressive about that. Though the ability is not as pervasive as ETF by any means. You don't get the benefit as much from it.
Yeah. A lot of those once per turn kind of abilities you really want to try and make the most of. It's just kind of built into you as a Netrunner player.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You made a choice to play that ID or that card. You really want to get the usage out of it, and I'm not sure I do out of Asa quite so much. Also, because I know it's a wonky combo deck, I kind of want to get the wonky combo out. You know what I mean? So to a certain extent, it's kind of like, ooh, I want to get this server set up with these 2 upgrades in it, so I'm going to wait a bit to find the other upgrade.
Yeah. It's all about the showboating, isn't it, when you get a combo?
Yeah. Here we are. This is the discussion about SMC.
Yeah, so I think I'd said I played a piece of ice. I played a icebreaker. I said I was going to run R&D, maybe.
No, you played an icebreaker, I think, and said that you were going to overwrite SMC.
That's right. Yep.
And I thought that you had used SMC to tutor for the icebreaker, and therefore you were going to be running out of memory because I think it's a 2 MU icebreaker you're going to play. So we were having a discussion about whether the MU of SMC kind of stays current, even though you're in the act of installing the icebreaker. Whereas actually, what you were doing was installing the icebreaker, overwriting SMC. But I missed that bit.
Yeah. So there was. I've edited this a little bit, and I think this went on for about 10 minutes while we worked out what was actually going on.
Yeah, you'll be able to see the sun as it transits its through the day, and all the shadows change.
Yeah. So both of us are kind of looking up the rules.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm a bit stumped because everything I'm reading is you can overwrite whatever you need to overwrite.
Yeah. And everything I'm reading is this. Actually, I'm Googling SMC, and weirdly, the letters SMC aren't solely exclusive to Netrunner. Yeah.
That's strange, that.
Yeah.
Did you find anything weird?
It was mostly engineering terms. I don't know. Somebody's got some good SEO on the old SMC.
It was all safe for work.
Yeah, all safe for work. And this is where, and you're saying, no, but I'm just overwriting it. And I'm going, oh. By and large.
Yeah. I think it's just one of those moments where just some kind of clearer communication, I think, probably would have solved this in the early stages.
Yes, if I'd have said, what is it that you're doing? Sorry, you'd have said, I'm overwriting this, and I'd gone, oh right, okay, cool, yeah, fine.
Yeah, and likewise, if I'd have explained or reiterated the action. But we got there in the end, and the SMC went in the bin, and So there's still a bit of negotiation. I said, well, I'll change what I'll do and I'll run and then use the SMC.
Yeah.
But in fact, I installed, is it LAM or it's the
Angolo, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the code breaker version. Angolo.
Yeah, you access ID. I'm like, are you in the game or what?
and I'm just thinking, what the hell is this?
It's a good card, it's what it is.
Is that from Rain and Reverie?
It's from the last cycle, I think.
Okay. So I'm kind of wary of my pool of credits at this point because it's, you can end up poor very quickly. And I really don't want to go into that server.
Yeah, it's Crimson Dust MCA comes from.
Okay.
Which is the Mars cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah, because 3 ice in the modern Netrunner game is quite a lot of ice, actually. I think in the old school Glacier, I can remember like ice across the table. I can remember playing that old Patriot, and Phil was playing Marcus, I think, and he had like 18 ice or something ridiculous. Yeah, so I've scored out that cower.
There we go. So we're up to 4 points to 3.
Yep.
And it's, it's game on.
Yeah, and I've still not raised any ice.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're all unknown.
Mm-hmm. And I think I missed a bit of a trick, actually, because I think I should have rest some ice just to tax you. Because at this point, I should have been trying to rest that ice, even though I knew it wouldn't stop you from getting in, or even though it forced you to install a breaker or something like that. I just chose not to rest the ice because I wanted to kind of keep the cash around, but I think that's possibly a mistake.
Yeah, and the breakers I'm using are expensive. Mm-hmm. There we go. No, not Kurt. It's cost at least 4 to get into a server.
Mm-hmm.
What's the upgrade in the root of HQ?
I suspect it's a Heinlein grid as well. I think I put it there to in case I wanted to use it.
Okay.
In fact, maybe it's missing that. No, it's a Heinlein. I think I've already got one in the remote. Whatever that upgrade is, I've already got in the remote. And I kind of stuck it there to trigger ASA ability and also to give you some flex options. That's a Naja 1.0, that piece of ice.
Right. So
it's a barrier. Spend a click to break any subroutine, and it's 2 end of run subs.
Right. I don't have the clicks. And I don't have a barrier breaker out.
You can make it into
I could make it into a code gate. Or I could pop the SMC.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what I was doing with my phone there. I think I was just locking it in, not looking things up.
Phoning a friend.
Yeah.
Phil was Scott was on the phone telling him to install an agenda.
Yeah. Sneak attack of Gandalf in is the only way. So I bounced off the ice and then just went and got more money and cards.
Yep.
And triggered Comet. No? Fired.
Oh, you rebirthed into Chaos Theory.
I rebirthed into Chaos Theory, yeah. So, we're talking about showboaty combo decks.
Yeah. And we have a slight conversation about how that was the first time I think you played Rebirth.
I think it's the first time anyone's ever played Rebirth.
It's
not, it's not really something you'd want. Really, you'd think of running. The other option I had was to Rebirth into Kit Peddler.
Okay.
I think that probably would have been a better choice because I have the code gate, the decoder on the table.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That would have been interesting, definitely.
And I've got the +1 MU from Comet. At this stage, I really didn't need the MU.
No, in the sister game to this, where I was the runner, I played Escher entirely because I hadn't played it before.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think a bit of Shaper, and this is what casual Netrunner is about, though, isn't it?
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, the game is not officially supported in terms of tournament play anymore. So, why not put some janky decks together? There's no point in net decking anymore. If you want to find the one deck to rule them all, then you can, but that's not going to be fun.
I'm just exploring the card pool. One of the goals I have now building deck is I always want to play a card I've not played, or a set of cards that aren't my go-to cards normally. Like, I know they're not efficient. I know that they're not particularly great cards, but I just want to see it hit the table and see what happens. And then I go, do you know what, that card shit, Pipeline. Thanks for your time.
Yeah. Bookmark. I mean, there's there are so many cards in the card pool now that there's probably a way of forcing something to work somehow. It's just whether the juice is worth the squeeze, really. I mean, look, it's certainly where I was coming from with this deck, forcing in a load of cheap events that don't really do much on their own, but when you stack them, they're quite good.
Yeah, this is the start of my downfall here, because what I've got is definitely an SSL.
Okay.
So another 5/3 agenda, and you've got cash and you've got breakers, and I'm especially afraid of the kind of breaker that you have in terms of being able to just squeeze down that server with enough money.
Yeah.
So I was doing the maths, and I thought to myself, I need to defend this SSL for at least 2 turns. I really don't quite have the money to be able to do that. To res the ice, I would need to res. So I'm going to draw and then play IPO, but I draw into another SSL.
Right, I was going to ask if you had 2 agendas.
Yeah.
2
I've got 2 agendas in 2 5/3s in my hand, which is not where I want them to be, and because of that, it means that you've got a 40% chance of pulling an agenda if you hit HQ. I'd really like to get one of them into that server, which is what I was thinking. 1 agenda in HQ, okay. If I put it in the server, then you may have run it, because I'd have had to install Advance. You've already seen, I think, an NGO, possibly 2. So I thought you'd run it with another rig setup.
Yeah, I was quite nervous, I think, of that server, and I was mainly thinking of R&D. Seeing that you had kind of 5/3s in your deck, I thought HQ and R&D would just be the places to dig.
Yeah. And I wasn't using the server enough, so you would have known that agendas must have been building up in HQ a little bit.
Look how much I'm spending here to get in.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a itchy 1.0. That second ice there.
And that cost me 6.
Yeah.
So I do run the personal touch in this deck just to help these breakers out.
Yeah, makes sense.
But so I get in, and there we go.
You got bonus SSLs for the game.
Yeah. So yeah, it was unfortunate, really. But I think there were, I made a couple of mistakes there. Definitely wasn't using my breakers. And I guess if you're running big agendas, that's the risk.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wasn't aggressive enough when you were poor. Watching it back, I really should have gone for installing and pushing you. I kind of waited, I think, until the server could be more taxing. I was afraid of the Shaper bullshit. I think I probably should have pushed a little bit more aggressively at that stage. If you hadn't have scored the freedom and you'd have plucked an SSL, and then you were sat on 6 points, I would have still been quite happy.
Yeah.
Because I'd have been taking cash off it every round, every turn, sorry. And I'd have been set up enough, I think, then to possibly push the game a lot tighter.
I guess just remains to say thanks for watching, and part 2 of this video is hopefully on our channel by now.
Yeah,
cool.
And thanks for watching, guys. Speak soon.
Yeah, see you on the other side.